just we get to play around with all the new products and get creative with it. And today we are going to be doing hand lettering.
Yeah, so hand lettering is super fun. It's been popular for a couple years now, so if you're here, you've bound to have seen some other tutorials floating around, and those are great. And we're going to touch on some of those basics, but we also are going to talk about some tips and tricks to get this final product. Hand lettering is something that takes a long time to kind of build up and refine, but these cheats will kind of move the process along. So today, I'm going to be giving a little bit of instruction to the lovely Lauren.
I don't know how to do this.
And so, yeah, hope you have fun following along. All right, let's start with our names. So we're going to write in cursive. With lettering, cursive is kind of the best go-to. If you're not confident in your cursive, just take it slow. Just think about each letter, and then the more you do it, the more you practice. Yeah, it's gonna get easier, and it'll feel more flowy. All right. So here's how we're gonna start. We're gonna pretend that we're in elementary school. It's gonna be great. So we're gonna draw two lines, the top line and the bottom line. And this is going to help us for when we're orienting our letters, so it kind of is like setting us up for success. Oh yes. So there's our two lines. I find it helpful to also have that middle line, just because then you can make sure all of your
Lowercase letters.
Yeah, your lowercase letters are all going to reach that same.
Yeah.
And that just makes everything look really nice.
It's a good idea because I tend to make mine very tiny.
Perfect. Okay. So then go ahead and write your name.
I'm watching you do it.
And you don't have to stay exactly in there. It's more just guidelines.
Sorry, it's bad.
And like if it's not perfect, like you can go back and erase it. Like for instance, this E feels different than this, so I'm like, I can go in and be like, that looks funky.
Yeah, my top loopy L part looks weird. I'll change that. I made it worse. Okay, well.
It's fine, because this is really just your starting point when you're going to go back and like, these are going to make any of those areas.
It's going to cover it up.
Yes, it is going to cover it.
Cool.
Alright, so kind of like I mentioned earlier, this is the basics of lettering, not so much the cheating part yet. We're going to get to that
I
later.
want the cheating part.
These are more tips, and this is like your structure to start honing your lettering skills. So this is something that kind of like you would be able to do over and over again until you don't need to, have your pencil underlines. Yeah. Sometimes these aren't going to erase super great. But for now, let's just choose darker colors and then we can go over it. So, and we're using the Zig Clean Color brush pens, which are perfect for a starter in lettering. Highly recommend them. Okay, so before we start on here, we're going to practice how these pens work. So with lettering, really your bread and butter is your thicks and thins. And how that works is whenever you have an upward stroke, you're putting less pressure. And when you have a downward stroke, you're pulling and you're putting more pressure. So kind of practice just going up and then back down. And it's really, once you get into a rhythm, it will become easier. Don't feel like you have to go too fast, or if it's easier for you to go faster, then do. You'll see this kind of everywhere. This is really what the fundamentals of lettering in this way. And it's what gives it the look, the desired look. But yeah, this part is probably the most difficult. They say like, this is what you do, and then you see someone doing it really quickly, and it's like, that's That's not how that works. Yeah, but I would just say we already have this kind of this ready to go. But now that we know that this is our thins and these are our thicks, before we actually start, maybe it would be helpful to go in and kind of figure out where those strokes are going to be.
Great idea.
So, yeah, and if you kind of need to
So
pretend you're doing it to help you figure that
up
out.
a skinny, down a thick.
Yes, so I start going down,
down.
then, and if it helps to go and just make little arrows around it to start, then that's good too. The more you do it, the more you'll see it naturally. And also, what really happens is that thick line is usually the base of your letter, if that helps you thinking too, at it visually, it makes more sense.
Okay.
Alright, now let's go through and just try this out with the pins. You ready?
I think so.
It's gonna be beautiful. And if it's not perfect, that is A-okay. You don't even have to follow your lines exactly. And it is super okay to take it slow. It actually helps to make your thick areas more consistent if you go a little slower. Sometimes I get a little too excited and my lines get thicker and thicker as I go. Okay, so then from here you can erase, but this is really just our practice. You don't need to.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
going
really up to you. If you want to see what that kind of feels like without all the lines. Pew, pew, pew. I didn't use any help at all. But yeah, so that's kind of how you get started, and just keep practicing, just doing that until it starts to feel more fluid, more natural. I guess fluid's our word right now.
Yep.
All right, so now on to the cheating parts.
Yes.
How to do this in a way that looks just as cool and is about 5 times easier. Follow the same logic that we just did. I would say, if you struggle handwriting wise, then to start with a line again, or just with a pencil, really either or. Okay, so yeah, then do whatever you're gonna write. Again, you can start in pencil, you don't have to. I'm going to just for the purposes of this video. Yeah, so then go ahead and write out your word.
Just in cursive it.
Yes, oh sorry, yes, still, I would still recommend cursive, and I still, give yourself space, think about all your letters slowly, all the same logic that we just applied and when we started the last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna try without it. I'm feeling ambitious.
Okay, do it.
Okay.
But yeah, writing in pencil is nice because you can write it out, and then if you wanted to change your curly dude, or however you cross your T or dot your I, or if you wanted a loop that looked different, then you can kind of go in and be like, oh, actually, you have more time to think about that. So then, you just choose whatever tool you want to use. I think for cheating, it is harder to actually use the brush pens because you have less control. Just
Okay.
the thought. So this is
What
all
pen
about.
do you think I should use?
I would recommend. You could use just standard
Markers?
markers. So yeah, any marker that's a stiff tip,
Okay.
because you're just gonna be using the tip.
The baby side?
Yep, there you
Okay.
go. So this is what we're using. Because this is all about control. This is for those who struggle maybe more with the pressure side of thicks and thins. So we're just going to go through and trace what we wrote. now we're going to reference what we learned earlier about this thin upward stroke, thick downward stroke. And we're going to go in and do what we did with like when we were writing in pencil first and find all those places.
Okay.
So we're going to do exactly what we did the first time, except you're going to be coloring this in, and it's going to be creating that effect. So upward, downward, upward, downward. And you can do this in pencil first, or you can just go ahead and do it in your pen. Sometimes I fix my letters spatially while I'm doing this. If I got something too close, well then I'll put the thick side on like the outside versus the inside. Perfect. So now that we have that ready to go, just go ahead and go in with your marker and fill it in. I outline mine first and then I go back and I fill in accordingly. For the longest time, I didn't actually know how to do lettering like with brush pens, and so this is just what I would do. Yeah.
I like this way.
Me too. I mean, you have all this control. It's a cheat, but it's like just as effective and just as beautiful, and you kind of have more range to have design preference with it too. Like that's why sometimes I'll just do the bottoms dark or something, and it kind of like gives it a different effect and coloring the entire thing. Go in and erase. Yeah, so that's primary cheat. Okay. Two more fun little tricks or just things you can do to enhance your lettering or just kind of make any issues that might come up or rough areas, just smooth that out a little more. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of words on my page, and then I'm going to implement these little tricks to them. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it with the chisel tip, the calligraphy pen, but you could do this with any marker or any fashion. Like you could use either the actual way of brush lettering, or you could do the cheating way that we just did. The structured way, let's call it that.
I'm going to stick with the same one.
For this little tip, this is my go-to fix-all. Perfect. So then this part, you want to choose a different color from your main. I'm going to use the same marker that I used earlier, and we're going to be doing shadow lines. So I'm redoing it. Just choose a side of your letters. I usually choose the left side, and you're just going to trace that outer rim, and it's going to create like a raised effect of your lettering. And it does not need to be perfect.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I kind of have fun with it. Depending on the marker I'm using, sometimes I'll like try and be more specific.
It looks funky.
Generally speaking, you do want to choose a lighter color just so that it doesn't pull your eye from your word. So it's more of a secondary thing. But either way, it's still fun, and you can really do this in any kind of lettering, whether it's cursive or not. Yeah. Then the next one, I think you will like this one.
Okay, good.
So we're going to choose a lighter colored brush pen.
This one.
Yes, I will use green. So what you do is go ahead and just choose a word and write it using the same skills we began the video with. So thick and thins.
Okay.
And just start with like maybe a short word or a phrase, whatever you want to do. And do your best, but also don't worry about it being perfect, because we're going to go back in and do something to kind of, again, pull away from any areas where we might feel less confident. All right. So once you've chosen your phrase or word, just go ahead and do that. You can write this out beforehand to kind of figure out, how you want to do your lettering. Take your time. Nice. That looks so good. But that's great. Okay, so then the next part, I have a specific pen that I love for this. You can choose really any pen. Okay, so what you're basically just going to do is you're just going to go through your word and write it in cursive over it, just like centered. And I can do it first if that helps.
Yeah.
I'll show you the idea.
Oh, that's so nice.
The fun part of like layering things is that it just shows that there was more thought put into it, which kind of then you interpret it as like the decisions made being purposeful. Yeah. So those are kind of my basic tips and tricks, my cheats and my starting points, and now you know it all.
Now I do. And I need to practice them.
And practice is perfect. I'm still practicing constantly, so yeah, so have fun and share your lovely things with us.
Yeah, practice with me.
Yay! Okay, thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.
Oh, great, and it recorded all of it.